5 hours before the explosion, 13 drones armed with 40 kilograms of explosives, each lifted off from deep inside Ukraine. Their target, a Russian cargo ship 820 kilometers away, loaded with $500 million worth of Iranian drone components, enough to terrorize Ukrainian cities for months. The captain believed he was untouchable, anchored in the Caspian Sea, an inland ocean surrounded by Russia and its allies. No NATO warplanes patrol those waters. Ukrainian missiles don't have that range. But Ukrainian intelligence had been watching for 11 days, and they had a plan. Here's the story of how one surgical strike shattered Moscow's assumptions and changed the rules of modern warfare. The Port Olya-4. 123 meters of steel, 5,185 deadweight tons, packed with nightmare fuel for Ukrainian cities. What was inside? Components for Shahed-136 and Shahed-238 kamikaze drones. Gyroscopes, navigation modules, avionics packages, 122mm rockets stacked like cordwood, 5,000 tons total, enough to build hundreds of attack drones. The captain had chosen his anchorage carefully. The port of Olya on the Volga estuary, far from prying eyes. From Moscow's perspective, this was the ultimate sanctuary. The Caspian Sea is landlocked, surrounded by Russia, Iran, and former Soviet republics. That assumption was about to be obliterated. While the captain sipped coffee that morning, Ukrainian intelligence in Kiev had already mapped every detail of his routine. For 11 days, satellites had been painting the Port Olya-4 with synthetic aperture radar, technology that doesn't need sunlight and can't be fooled by clouds or switched-off transponders. Think of SAR like echolocation for satellites, bouncing radio waves off the ship to build a 3D profile, tracking its position every 6 hours. What Ukrainian analysts discovered: the ship anchored in predictable patterns, 4 to 6 hours in the same position before adjusting for drift. No close air support, minimal defensive systems, vulnerable, and the window was wide open. The mission objective was crystal clear: sink it cleanly. Not a fireworks show. The cargo hold contained enough explosives to level a city block if it detonated wrong. The goal was to put those Iranian drone parts on the seafloor where they'd rust into worthlessness. Ukraine's weapon of choice: the UJ-26 platform. Long-range kamikaze drones purpose-built for deep strikes. The specs: composite airframe. Radar barely sees them. 150 to 180 kilometers per hour cruising speed. Fast enough to cover distance, slow enough to hug the surface. Over 1,000 kilometers range with extended fuel tanks. The strike package: 14 drones total. 12 would carry warheads. 2 would serve as communications relays, maintaining links and recording battle damage footage. 05-12 hours. Final synchronization confirmed. The attack geometry was sophisticated. 4 approach vectors, each with a specific target: stern, starboard, engine room, propulsion systems, bow port, bridge, command and control, midsection, cargo hatches, waterline integrity, diversion drones, block rescue vessels with explosive barriers. 05-33 hours. Ukrainian fields. One by one, the drones climbed into pre-dawn darkness. Their flight profile skimmed 20 to 60 meters above water, merging with wave clutter on Russian radar. To anyone watching screens at Port Olya, these contacts would look like seabirds or atmospheric noise. Low priority, logged and ignored. 10:32 local time. The first drone punched through the morning silence. The warhead detonated against the aft deck with the force of a car bomb, peeling back metal plates and exposing the engine room below. Electrical fires erupted. Damage control circuits shorted. Fuel lines sputtered and died. The captain had 7 minutes left. The second drone, starboard waterline, 10:34. Seawater began flooding lower compartments. Drones 3 and 4 hit almost simultaneously. Midsection impacts buckling cargo hatches, punching holes in the port side. The ship shuddered. Smoke boiled across the deck. On the bridge, alarms screamed. Port security scrambled 2 tugboats. They wouldn't make it in time. Drone 5 slammed into the bow at 10:37. The bridge plunged into darkness as the main power grid collapsed. These Ukrainian drones were designed for exactly this. Each carried backup inertial guidance. Even without GPS, they'd fly their programmed routes. 10:41 through 10:44, drones 6 and 7 tore massive gashes in the starboard hull. Water intake accelerated. Flooding spread through multiple compartments. At 10:47, with fires raging and water pouring in, the crew made the only rational decision: abandon ship. Lifeboats hit the water as smoke poured from every opening. Russian defenders shot down 2 drones. Too few, too late. The final drones struck the lower midsection and stern shaft tunnel. Propulsion systems ruptured. Fuel oil spilled beneath deck plating. The ship listed 7 degrees. Pumps overwhelmed. Drones 11 and 12 detonated near the tugboat approach lanes, creating debris barriers, blocking rescue efforts. The relay drones circled overhead, recording everything, transmitting real-time telemetry back to Kiev. 10:58 hours. The Port Olya-4 was finished. The ship died in stages, each failure triggering the next like falling dominoes. Power failure led to pump failure. Pump failure led to uncontrolled flooding. Flooding led to progressive list, structural stress, hull fatigue, catastrophic failure. Hours later, it rolled over and sank beneath Caspian waters. 14:32 hours. Satellite imagery confirmed it. Smoke still rising from the wreck site, visible from 10 kilometers away. Moscow tried to bury the story. Initial Russian reports claimed minor damage, a small fire under control. But within hours, photographs leaked online. Open-source intelligence analysts went to work, using coastal landmarks, crane configurations, even light pole positions to geolocate the wreck to the exact anchorage point. Satellite imagery backed it up. On August 14th, Ukraine's general staff released their statement. The Port Olya-4, carrying Iranian drone components and ammunition, had been destroyed in a coordinated long-range strike. Let's talk about what was actually lost. A single Shahed production kit weighs about 200 kilograms. The Port Olya-4 carried 5,000 tons of components. That's enough material to build hundreds of attack drones. But it's not just the raw numbers. Without those avionics packages, navigation systems, and gyroscopes, Russia can't build drones at scale. Production lines grind to a halt. This strike didn't just eliminate cargo, it eliminated weeks of planned aerial bombardment against Ukrainian cities. But the strategic impact goes deeper. For 30 months, Russia operated under one core assumption. The Caspian Sea was a sanctuary. No NATO aircraft could reach it. No Ukrainian missiles had the range. Ukraine just proved that assumption was a lie. The ripple effects were immediate. Insurance companies raised war risk premiums for Caspian vessels. Ships began sailing with transponders turned off, using false call signs. Convoy procedures slowed port operations. For the first time, the Caspian wasn't a safe rear area. It was contested battle space. Every Russian logistics officer is now looking at maps differently. Every ship carrying military cargo sails under a shadow of fear. When will the next swarm appear? That uncertainty is its own weapon. Here's what really happened. Ukraine didn't just sink a cargo ship. They demonstrated that modern warfare has no safe zones. Distance doesn't matter anymore. Geography doesn't protect you. What matters is intelligence, precision, and the willingness to strike where your enemy thinks you can't reach. The Port Olya-4 operation was a triple blow: material, psychological, strategic. It eliminated immediate military capability, shattered confidence in rear area security, and proved Ukraine's reach extends far beyond anyone's assumptions. Russia now has to divert resources to protect areas they thought were invulnerable. It slows operations, increases costs, degrades efficiency, and that psychological pressure compounds every single day. So here's my question for you. If you were commanding Russian logistics right now, how would you protect supply lines when nowhere feels safe anymore? Drop your strategy in the comments. I read every one, and the best tactical analysis gets pinned. If you want more deep dive operations that rewrote modern warfare, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because next week, we're covering something even more unexpected. How Ukraine turned $400 racing drones into precision artillery spotters, consumer-grade quadcopters, military-grade coordination. The story of how hobbyist equipment revolutionized battlefield tactics and made Russian artillery commanders rethink everything they knew about forward observation. You won't want to miss it. See you in the next one.